It's been a long journey, full of memories.
If you're over 40, don't treat this like another video you half listen to while you scroll. I'm 75 years old, and I came close to losing my health in a way that didn't look dramatic at all. No crash, no headline, just a normal morning, a normal kitchen, and my body finally refusing to be managed one more day. For most of my life, I thought health was a trait, like eye color. Some people had it, some people didn't, and the rest of us just tried not to think about it too much. I worked hard, I handled stress, I ate whatever was convenient, I slept when I could, and as long as I could get through the day, I told myself I was fine. That word, finalmost, became my epitaph. Here's what I didn't understand until afterward. The most dangerous health problems don't always arrive with alarms. Sometimes they arrive as small costs you normalize. A little less energy, a little worse sleep, a little more breathlessness on stairs, a little pain you joke about, a little irritation you blame on getting older, because nothing is exploding. You keep bargaining, you keep saying, after this week, after this project, after the holidays. Months turn into years, and you don't notice the quiet decline until one day it feels like a cliff. The morning it happened, I was making coffee. I remember that detail because it's embarrassing how ordinary it was. I had plans, I had errands, I had a day I thought I owned. Then I felt a pressure in my chest, heavy, dull, not sharp, and a warmth that climbed into my neck. My first thought was heartburn, my second thought was stress. My third thought, the honest one, was, I don't have time for this. That's the sentence I lived by for decades. I don't have time for my body. I tried to push through, because that's what I've always done. I opened a window, as if fresh air could negotiate with biology. I sat down, I stood up. I told myself I'd wait 10 minutes and see if it passed. 10 minutes sounds reasonable, until you realize your body doesn't always give you 10 minutes. My wife came into the kitchen and took one look at my face. She didn't ask if I was okay. She asked, "What is it?" Because she knows my habits. She knows how quickly I minimize, how often I smile when I'm scared. Like charm, we'll fix it. I said, "It's probably nothing." And she said something I will never forget. "Nothing doesn't look like that." She called for help. I argued. I said I'd be embarrassed if it turned out to be indigestion. I said I didn't want to waste anyone's time. Let me tell you what I believe now. Embarrassment is a cheap price to pay for being alive. In the emergency room, the lights were too bright and the air was too cold. People moved fast while I felt slow, like I was underwater. A nurse asked questions I could barely answer. Someone wrapped a cuff around my arm. Someone put sensors on my chest. Then a doctor looked at a screen, looked at me, and his voice got very gentle. That gentleness scared me more than any siren. When professionals get gentle, it means you're not being dramatic. It means the thing you hoped wasn't real is standing right in front of you. I'm not here to give you medical conclusions. I'm not a clinician, and your situation might be completely different. What matters is this: they told me I was lucky. I came in when I did. Lucky, not tough, not disciplined. Lucky because minutes mattered. And sitting there, with my wife holding my hand like she was anchoring me to the world, I realized something that changed the way I see health forever. I had been treating my body like a background app, something that runs quietly until it crashes. I had been living as if the future was guaranteed, and my body was just the vehicle that would carry me there, no matter what. The strangest part is what happened after the danger passed. You'd think relief would be the dominant feeling. It wasn't. The dominant feeling was grief. Not the loud, theatrical kind, the quiet kind that sits in your chest when you realize how close you came to leaving people behind in the middle of an ordinary day. That first night back home, I didn't sleep. Not because I was in pain, but because I was listening to myself like a suspicious stranger. Every heartbeat felt like a question. Every ache felt like a warning. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, hearing the refrigerator hum, hearing the house settle, hearing my wife's breathing beside me, and thinking, this could have been the last night I ever heard any of this. That's what a scare does. It doesn't just frighten you, it changes the sound of your life. When you almost lose your health, you don't magically become wise. You become honest. You see the stories you told yourself and how convenient they were. The first story was that health is a later problem, that you deal with it when life calms down. But life doesn't calm down on schedule. It keeps coming, and your body keeps keeping score, quietly, patiently, until it can't. The second story was that functioning means you're fine. I could still work. I could still drive. I could still laugh at dinner. So I assumed I was healthy. But functioning isn't thriving. Functioning can be the minimum payment on a debt you're pretending you don't have. The third story was that big problems come with big warnings, but my warnings were small and constant. I just got used to them. I normalized them. I called them aging. That's a dangerous label, because once you call something just age, you stop being curious, you stop paying attention. I started replaying years in my mind, and I could see the pattern so clearly, it was almost insulting. The afternoon naps I blamed on being busy. The short temper I blamed on other people. The way I avoided stairs without admitting it. The way I sat for hours and then wondered why my back complained. The way I reached for sugar at night, not because I was hungry, but because I was exhausted and I needed a quick comfort. The way I postponed appointments because I didn't want to hear the truth. I wasn't protecting my future. I was spending it. After I got home, people expected me to transform overnight. They expected me to become the kind of person who runs marathons and drinks green juice and lectures everyone at the dinner table. That isn't what happened. What happened was quieter and harder. I started asking myself what health actually is. When I was young, I thought health meant looking a certain way. When I was middle-aged, I thought it meant productivity, being able to grind through anything. Now, at 75, I think health is independence and presence. Independence is getting out of a chair without pain being the first sound you make. It's carrying groceries without bargaining with your back. It's taking a trip without needing 2 days to recover. It's walking upstairs without pretending you weren't even winded. It's waking up rested more often than not. Presence is being with the people you love without your body pulling you away. Because when you're exhausted or uncomfortable all the time, the world shrinks. Conversations become chores. Plans become obstacles. You start measuring life by what you can endure, not what you can enjoy. So I stopped asking, how do I live longer? And started asking, how do I live better with the time I have? That question kept me from chasing extremes and pushed me toward consistency. Here's what I changed, in plain language, without pretending it's glamorous. I stopped treating sleep like an inconvenience. I used to be proud of how little I needed. I thought it meant I was strong. I wasn't strong. I was reckless. I started protecting my evenings, watching my caffeine, dimming the noise, letting my nervous system power down like it was allowed to. I also stopped making late-night worry my hobby. If you can't shut your mind off at night, that's not a personality quirk. That's a sign your body needs a different rhythm. I started moving every day in a way I could sustain. Some days it's a walk. Some days it's simple strength work, nothing impressive. just enough to keep my legs, hips, and back honest. I learned that muscle isn't vanity at my age. It's insurance. It's what keeps you from becoming fragile. It's what keeps a stumble from turning into a season of recovery. I stopped pretending stress was just mental. Stress is a physical environment in your body. It shows up in shallow breathing, tight shoulders, clenched jaw, the way you snap at someone you love. I began doing something that felt almost too simple. I slowed my breathing on purpose. Not as a miracle cure, just as a signal to my body that we weren't in danger all the time. I started taking short pauses during the day, not to be zen, but to pull my system out of survival mode, even for a minute. I cleaned up my eating in the way most people avoid, because it's boring, not perfect, better, more real food. Fewer, I deserve this meals that were really just exhaustion. I still enjoy things. I just stopped making every day a negotiation between comfort now and consequences later. I learned to ask a simple question before I ate out of habit: am I hungry or am I depleted? And I stopped treating checkups like optional homework. I avoided appointments for years because I didn't want bad news. But bad news doesn't arrive because you look at it. It arrives whether you look or not. The difference is whether you catch a problem early or you meet it when it's already taken ground. If you take nothing else from me, take this: don't let fear of information control your choices. If you've been putting off getting something checked, anything, please hear this from someone who used to do the same. Postponing is a decision. It's just a quiet one. It's the decision to let time make the choice for you. There's a question I wish someone had forced me to answer at 45, not 75. If your health collapsed next month, what would you regret prioritizing over it? The extra hours you worked, the problems you carried alone, the habits you kept because changing felt inconvenient. Your obligations will happily accept your health as payment. They won't stop you. They won't warn you. They will take what you give them. And here's another truth I didn't want to face. Your health is not only about you. When I was in that hospital, I watched my wife's face change in real time. Fear aged her faster than any birthday. I realized I hadn't just been careless with my body. I had been careless with her peace, with our plans, with the future we assumed we had. A few days after I got home, my grandson came over. He wanted me to sit on the floor and build something with him, the way I used to. I hesitated just for a second, and that second broke my heart. Because I realized I had been slowly trading away the simple freedoms that make life sweet, and I had been calling it normal. I got down on the floor anyway. It wasn't graceful. I made a sound I didn't like, but I did it. And when I stood back up, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Gratitude for function. Not a new car, not a promotion, not a vacation. Function. The ability to move through my own life without needing permission from my body. That's when it hit me. Most people don't change when they want to. They change when they're scared. I don't want you to need the scare. So if you need a starting point that doesn't require you to become a new person, here it is. Pick one small promise you can keep. One walk, one earlier bedtime, one appointment scheduled. One day of paying attention to how you actually feel instead of how you think you should feel. Consistency is how you rebuild trust with your own, and be patient with yourself. Your body didn't get here in a week, and it won't come back in a week either. But it will respond to respect. It will respond to steadiness. It will respond to you showing up for it the way you show up for everyone else. So what do I think about health now, after almost losing mine? I think it's the foundation you don't notice until it cracks. I think it's built with small, unglamorous choices you repeat. I think fine is one of the most dangerous words we use, because it lets you delay the truth. I think humility is a health skill, humility to admit you need help, to get checked, to change. And I think the most dangerous sentence in the English language is "I'll deal with it later." Later is not guaranteed. Later is not promised. You don't have to live in panic about that, but you do have to live with respect for it. If your body has been whispering through fatigue, through discomfort, through breathlessness, through sleep that never feels like enough, please don't wait until it has to shout. Talk to a professional when something persists. Take the small steps you can actually keep. Stop negotiating with your body and start partnering with it. I'm 75 years old. I almost lost my health. And what I believe now is simple. Health isn't a project you do someday. It's a relationship you build every day. Build it while it's still possible.